Hey, Service Advisor Nation. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the AutoFix Advisor Cast with your host, Michael Doherty. Hopefully, everybody had a great Labor Day. Hopefully, your shop was closed on Labor Day. If not, then I hope you had a good day anyways, but I know most of the shops are closed on Labor Day, so hopefully you got that time to spend with your family or unwind or do whatever you did. But in any event, thank you for tuning in. And today, I wanted to talk to you about something I thought was pretty important along I'll call it mindset for service advisors. So, let me ask you guys and gals something. So, when you walk into the shop each morning, are you there just to make it through another day, or are you there to make a difference? And hopefully your answer is make a difference, because here's the truth. You are made for more than just making a living. You are made for making a difference. And in particular, in the role of a service advisor, the ripple effect of your work goes way beyond the repair order just in front of you. So, again, talking about that a little bit more, I guess number one would be, the difference, right? The mindset behind that. And there's actually a quote by Michelle Obama. It says, "Success is not about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives." So I really feel like as a top tier service advisor, that's what we want to do for our customers, our clients, right? Again, we're building and maintaining client relationships. So again, that quote, success is not about how much money you make, it's about the difference you make in people's lives. So, right, being a service advisor isn't just about transactions, it's about transformations. Every customer is trusting you with their safety, their vehicle's reliability, and their hard earned money. And when you shift from, as a service advisor, I need to get through that call and get through those tickets today, to I'm here to serve, I'm here to educate, and I'm here to protect, you step into a difference maker role, right? So again, extending past just being a service advisor, right? I mean, you're really stepping into what I call a difference maker role. And, again, the ripple effect of your work. So think of it like this, right? If you've done your job, that mom of three kids that drops off the Honda Odyssey, right, or the Toyota Sienna, she leaves the shop confident that her van won't break down on the highway with her kids. The business owner that has maybe a fleet of vehicles that needs to keep them up and running to keep his business going and to keep his employees working to take care of their families. See what I'm saying here? Like, it extends past just being a service advisor. I mean, you're really, again, you're in a difference maker role. You're helping others. And again, we're here to serve. We're here to educate. We're here to protect. And protect means protect their vehicle, right? I've mentioned it in the past, but sometimes we have to have those hard conversations with clients. And, it starts with, what we do for our client is, always going to be best for them. And what's always best for them, 9 times out of 10, is outside of their comfort zone. So we got to have those hard conversations sometimes as service advisors with clients, and really, break it down past the point of mechanical to them and let them know the really urgency and importance of getting some of these things done, because it is their vehicle, it is their safety, right? And how do we convey that? We want to convey that in a way that they're going to understand it. But again, we always do what's right for our clients. What's doing right for our clients is typically outside of their comfort zone, and clients will fight like hell to stay in their comfort zone. I don't disagree with any of those things, and hopefully you won't either. But, you know, we're again building and maintaining client relationships. And, there's a quote that I saw not too long ago. It's by a person named Viktor Frankl, and it says, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. Again, life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. So again, what's our purpose? What's our meaning? Why are we there? Yeah, we want to take care of our families, our own personal families, right? We're in a job. We want to make income so that we can take care of our families. And what's the best way to do that is take care of other people and take care of their families. If you focus on that and think about that, as long as you're always looking out for them, the money's going to be there. It's just how it goes. It's the way the universe intended it to be. So, think about that. Again, if you're there just for the paycheck and you're just kind of passing through the time and you're looking at you're looking at your watch and you're looking at the clock on the wall, man, I got to be here another 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Maybe it's not the job you want to be in, and you need to make that decision. You got to look in the mirror, have that hard conversation with yourself. Do I really want to do this? Or I'm just not feeling it. I don't think I want to do it. Or you might be in the right place, meaning like in your heart, like in your head, but the place that you're at isn't really the best place for you to be. And, if you really like being a service advisor, but you don't think you're in the right environment, it's okay to look around. It's okay to see what else is out there for you and, be part of a team that's a winning team. It's very important. Elevating the everyday. So making a difference does not require heroic acts. I hear shit heroic. So making a difference does not require heroic acts. It comes from everyday excellence. Yeah, that's showing up, playing ball, doing the right thing, not only for yourself, but for the coworkers and your clients. Integrity, right? Greeting every caller with genuine warmth. Yeah, absolutely. If you pick up that phone and you're just going through the motions, they're going to pick up on that. That prospect, that client is going to pick up on that. And that's what they're hearing from every other place that they call. We got to change that. When that phone rings, you got to shift your mindset before you even pick up that phone. To shift your mindset. This is a family member. Think of somebody that you really want to help, that you've helped in the past. Again, it could be a coworker, it could be a friend, it could be a family member. Envision that it's them on the other end of that phone and talk to that person the way you would talk to the person you're thinking of in your head, right? I know it sounds crazy, but again, you got to shift your mindset to, man, this phone won't stop ringing. That's a great problem to have. It really is. And there's places where the phone doesn't ring. They don't have their marketing in place for their shop, or they've got some not so great Google reviews that they haven't responded to or possibly contested. Again, there's a bunch of circumstances, but when that phone rings, man, it's game time, not practice time. It's game time again. That prospect, that client, they are interviewing you because you're picking up that phone, you're answering. You are the face of the business at that moment, and it's an interview, and you gotta get them in the door. You gotta pull out all the stops, pull out the charm, pull out the smile through the phone. Great tonality, enthusiasm. Again, mentioned in the past, specialize. That word is super important. Man, my check engine light's on. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but great news. We specialize in those types of repairs, right? Again, throwing that word specialize out, it makes such a game changer because people aren't used to hearing that and they don't want to keep calling around. That's not the game they want to play. They want someone to tell them, I got you. I'm going to take care of you, right? Greeting, actually, we went over greeting. So educating instead of pressuring, huge, right? Educating instead of pressuring, educating the client on what's going on with their vehicle and breaking it down in a format that they're going to understand instead of pressuring them. Oh man, gosh, if you pick up this car today, I don't think your brakes are going to make it. I mean, you can do what you want to do with your car, but I wouldn't do that. I mean, don't pressure them, educate them on why it's important. Again, the why behind your recommendation will go a long way. And following up because you care, not just because you have to. These little actions compound into massive trust, loyalty, and impact for those clients or those prospects, right, before they become a client. Because I think, I'd like to think that when that phone rings, whether they haven't been in before or if they've been in 10 or 20 times, it's a client, right? Again, we want to already act like we're doing business with them. So get in that mindset too, right? We're already doing business with them. That's how we want to talk to them. But again, elevating the everyday. And also, challenges, for advisors, right? I mean, don't settle for, I hate to say it, but being an order taker. It's not what we do. It's not what we're there for. Step up as the trusted advisor that you are, who makes people feel safe, confident, and cared for. I'll repeat that again. Step up as the trusted advisor that you are, who helps people feel safe, confident, and cared for. That's what we do, right? That's what we do as a service advisor. And, that's the difference between, I think, kind of just making a living and making a difference. So the late Steve Jobs has said, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Again, maybe you hit a rut. Maybe you had a bad week. Maybe you had a couple bad weeks. Maybe you had a bad month. Doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get out of the rut. But if you're focusing on the negatives and maybe pointing fingers, this wasn't my fault, that wasn't my fault, I'm not calling you out. I'm not. I'm just saying it's happened to me before. But you are in control of your attitude. And if you've got a downtrodden attitude, it's going to permeate and you're going to get even more bad weeks to come of things like that because you're focusing on the bad instead of maybe the lesson that maybe why it was a bad week. There's always a lesson in there somewhere. Good, bad, or ugly, there's a lesson. And chances are it's going to repeat itself until you pull a lesson out of it and understand what that was or is and think about it that way. But again, the late Steve Jobs said, your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. That is a perfect quote, I think, in general for any industry, but automotive especially, and service advisors, right? So again, it's okay if you didn't have a bad week, couple bad weeks. Things can and will turn around. But instead of looking at outside things to make that change, you've got to look in. Again, look at the mirror. Self talk is so important in this role. It really is because it's easy to get beat up. Again, we're a liaison, right? We're concierge between the client and the technician, and sometimes the parts department and the extended warranty company. We get it from all angles. We really do. But again, you've got to plant the seed in your mind. You're going to get through it. Tomorrow's another day. Things will change. I know they're going to change. And you got to have that mindset. Also, speaking to your service advisors out there, right? So growth through service. When we commit to making a difference, we grow just as much as the customers benefit. And it's so true. I mean, again, in my tenure of being a service advisor for, realistically, a little over 20 years, 22 years, what that role made me and for things to come in my life, the position I'm in now, where I work, how I operate, my self motivational, when what I bring to the team, what I bring to the table, how I can help on a daily basis, going through all those, we'll call them trials and tribulations as a service advisor, in the automotive industry. And I'm still in the automotive industry. I do independent marketing for, or I'm sorry, I do marketing for independent automotive shops. And I probably speak to maybe 20 or 30 shops nationally every month. And it's just, we all have the same problems, believe it or not, in the front end, in the back of the shop. And no, I'm not going to just say they're all easy fixes. But again, if you're focusing on the negative, if you're just thinking about the negative and carrying that from day to day, and then say, day one, something negative happens, and then day two, something negative happens, as day three, something negative happens. I mean, it's just compounding. You've got to break that cycle. Seriously. I mean, if you have to, take a day off, right? Personal, mental health day. Yeah, it should exist on the employment calendar, right? Mental health day. Hey, I can't do this another day. I can't be involved in this week anymore. I need a clean slate. I gotta get my mind right, right? And especially as this role is so important, because again, we're interfacing with clients and we're the face of the business. We all deserve some mental health days. I'm not saying abuse those just to use them, but again, it's not really a sick day. We're not calling in sick. We're not using a vacation day. It's a mental health day, and I think employers should recognize that for our service advisors, and build some of those into your payment plans or your compensation packages. You know, every quarter, you're allowed up to 2 mental health days off if you need them, and they're paid days. Right? We go through a lot. We really do. But again, committing and making the difference. And again, what you transform into while taking care of people, it's marvelous, right? We sharpen our communication, our empathy, our leadership. Yeah, absolutely, it is a leadership role if you think about it. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not a leadership position. It definitely is. It's essentially the quarterback position on the football team. It really is if you think about it. And stop seeing the job as just a grind. Again, if you're treating it as a grind, you're going through the motions, right? Alarm clock goes off again. I don't know what your routine is, service advisors out there, but it's painting the picture, right? What's your routine look like? What's the grind? Alarm clock goes off. Maybe you get up. Maybe you don't. Maybe you get up. You hit the snooze button. Another 15 minutes goes by. Now you really get up. You're kind of scrambling. Grab a piece of toast. You burn it in the toaster. Forget to put butter on it. You're out the door. You're in your car. Forget to tie your shoe. I don't know, but you get there and you're just disheveled, I guess is the best way to put it. You're just not really again, you're going through the motions. It's just the grind instead of seeing it as it's your craft. And every day you can get a little bit better. You're never going to reach full optimization because there's always so many new things. Every day is different. It really is. The only day that it's not different is on the days off, where that you're not there to answer that phone, that you're not there to have those conversations, sometimes good and sometimes bad. I won't say bad, but hard conversations, again, with staff or coworkers, clients, whatever. But again, look at it. Stop seeing it as a job in your grind, and look at it as your craft, right? And I think that is the secret sauce. It's the best personal development tool in disguise, right? Again, it's our craft. And another quote, I love quotes from Albert Einstein. He says, only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. So again, while we're at work, while we're in that service advisor position, yeah, that's our job. We're taking care of others. So again, that quote by Albert Einstein, right? Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. So again, we're in a serving type position. Doesn't mean that we're below somebody, but again, that's what we're doing. We're serving, we're helping, we're educating, we're being empathetic, we're guiding customers to the right decisions about their vehicles. And that's super important. So pat yourself on the back for that, service advisors. And also, I think there's another element, legacy beyond the counter, right? Again, when I say that, when customer walks in, usually have a counter there, right? Service advisors on one side, clients on the other. So, think about the long game, right? What do you want to be remembered for in your job, right? That's important. Not the invoices or the part numbers or the statistics, but I think important is how you made them feel, right? It makes a difference, right? And knowing that you made that customer feel the way that you would want to feel for that transaction is paramount. That's why they come back. That's why they leave that glowing 5-star Google review. That's why they refer neighbors, family members, and you get more customers and your business builds because you did the right thing and you took care of them, right? So again, I call that kind of legacy beyond the counter. It's beyond that transaction that just happened once they leave the door. And again, little things like that. But Service Advisor Nation, I really appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the AutoFix Advisor Cast. And I wish you good health. Actually, I apologize. Great health, keeping your base full. And hey, it's September, right? Hopefully, cooler weather starting everywhere. I think in most places. But I know it's been a heck of a heat wave this summer nationally. I know there's still a good bit of AC work going on throughout the shops that are across the United States right now. But again, I think we're getting into some cooler months, and depending on where you live, I'm looking forward to seeing those leaves change colors along with those beautiful sunsets. It just looks so awesome in the sky. But again, Service Advisor Nation, thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next time. Stay healthy, take care of one another, keep those bays full. All right, bye.